G'day and welcome to the NRL Round 22 preview. Now if you're wondering why I'm wearing this, I ran into Nelson Asafa-Solomona the other day and he got me in a crush tackle, ripped me to the ground. I was just walking along the street minding my own business. Sent the video off. Luckily someone across the street had a mobile out. Sent it to the match review committee who said, nothing to see here. Now really, all we want in rugby league is consistency, and the NRL match review committee consistently let us down with inconsistent gradings, charges or non-charges. And Nelson Asafa-Solomona should not be playing this week. It was a dead set crusher. What are you doing? Anyway, that's my rant for the week. Let's move on to the table. This week brought to you by the Pilfering Pom Strip Club. The Englishmen, led by Josh Hodgson down in Canberra, have become the best in the NRL at the one-on-one strips. They released a stat this week. There's been 23 one-on-one strips this year, and Canberra are leading the way with 23. Josh Hodgson has 11 on his own. The next best club is Melbourne with 11. And it's the Englishmen, Whitehead, Bateman and Hodgson, who are the three stars at it. I love the rule. It's about the only place you can get a contest in rugby league anymore. The only place you can get a contest for the ball. So I love it. Trent Robinson last week, after the Roosters won, had a rant in the press conference and was saying, I don't like the one-on-one strip. Maybe it's because the Roosters are no good at it, mate. You're on the rules committee, you'll probably change it, Robbo. Anyway, I love it. Keep it going. The English are great at it. Keep doing it. Anyway, here's the ladder, and quickly, the teams to watch are the Panthers in 7th, down to the Tigers in 10th. That's where all the interest lies, in the last two spots for the 7th and 8th. Let's move on to round 22, and we start at Lotto Land. Seagulls versus Tigers, 5th versus 10th. Now, Chris McQueen's been named on an extended bench for the Tigers. I don't think he'll play. Now, both suffered upsets last week. The Tigers' shock defeat to the Bulldogs. If you want to make the 8, you've got to beat those low-ranked teams. Absolute shocker. Paul Momorowski missed a conversion on full-time to take it to Golden Point. Mommers, unlucky, mate. And all you keyboard warriors having a crack at him, Latrell Mitchell, give yourself an uppercut. You're lowlifes. Leave the NRL players alone. They're doing their best. Don't stop trolling people. It just says more about you than it does about the people you're having a crack at. There's my other rant for the day. Anyway, and Manly lost to the Warriors. Who would have known that was going to happen? Anyway, now the Tigers are without two big players, Moses Mbai and Robbie Farah. Robbie's NRL career is probably gone. He's got a break in his leg. He thinks he's going to come back and play at some point this season. Robbie, you're going to be like the Black Knight and Monty Python. Oh, it's just a flesh wound. You got a break in your leg, mate. Give it up. You've been a great servant. You're tough. Don't play with a broken leg, mate. Anyway, the Tigers are desperate. They really need the 2 points, but Manly are gunning for that top 4 spot that they let slip through their grasp last week in New Zealand. At home, with Martin Tapau leading the way, the Tigers look a bit short up front. I think Marty Tapau's going to go kapow, and Tom Travojevic, the Lotto Land specialist, will go wow off the back of that. I'm tipping he'll get a hat-trick, and I actually think the Seagulls will win comfortably, Manly by 12. All right, Friday, Seabus Stadium. It's the Wooden Spooners. I'm going early. Big call, big call. Titans have got it wrapped up. Put it in the second drawer down in the trophy cabinet. Eels versus Titans. Now, the Eels are gunning, also like Manly, gunning for 4th. They're that close. They're on 26 points, only 2 behind the Raiders and the Rabbitohs. Now, so this is a massive chance for the Eels to not only win 2 precious points, but really up the ante with their for and against. Because if they're going to make the top 4, it'll be on for and against. Now, the Titans, they're not showing anything in defence. They're turnstiles in defence. They're throwing the ball around in attack. And that's why I'm leaning towards this basically turning into a game of touch footy. If you like having a bet over 60 points in this game, unfortunately, I think they're all going to go one way, to the Eels. Titans fans, take some tissues if you're going. And all I am going to predict is that Callum Watkins is going to get his first try in the NRL. That's about the only good news the Titans will have this week. Eels by 14, if not more. Now, the second game on Friday is an absolute belter. Broncos versus Panthers. 8th versus 7th. Broncos are on 21 points. Panthers 22. You talk about crunch games. Well, this one, you're treading on eggshells. It's like Suncorp will be covered in eggshells. This is crunch central. The 2 points in this game are vital. The loser gets stuck in that scramble for 8th. The winner puts one boot in the playoff picture. Now, the Broncos were very ordinary last week. They were extremely lucky to get away with victory in the last seconds against the Cowboys, while the Panthers were very good in beating the Sharks. Nathan Cleary had his best game of the year by far. That was without James Maloney. Well, James Maloney's back, so hopefully that doesn't upset the apple cart, because the Panthers at Suncorp need both Maloney and Cleary at their best. Now, a couple of battles I want to highlight. In the back row, Tavita Pangai Jr. versus Viliami Kikau. That is worth tuning in alone just for that. That will be absolutely brilliant. Both will be on a mission to get over the top of the other, and both will take it personally. TPJ likes to get in amongst it, and he'll be fired up. And the Broncos need him to be fired up because they were very, very poor last week. Now, the other battle I want to highlight is the two young guns from Wellington and New South Wales. The Wello centres, Katoni Staggs for the Broncos and Brent Naden for the Panthers. Two really good young centres, both having fantastic seasons in the NRL. I think Staggs will get over the top of Naden in this one, and leading into that, I think the home ground advantage with the MILF at the back, the Suncorp specialist, will get the Broncos home. Broncos by 2 in an absolute bell ringer. Now, we move on to Super Saturday. Knights versus Cowboys at McDonald Jones Stadium, 3 p.m. Now, both last week had agonising and, in my eyes, in my humble opinion, season-ending defeats. Now, Nathan Brown will try rev up the troops and say that if they win all 4 games, they'll finish on 26 points and they can still make the 8. It's not going to happen, I don't think, but they've got to give themselves a chance, especially with Penrith playing the Broncos. If the Knights win, they're back in that battle. So the Cowboys, they'll be looking to Jason Taumalolo and Michael Morgan to give themselves a chance. Look, if they win all 4, they'll finish on 24 points. That won't be enough. They're playing for pride. I'm looking for Taumalolo versus the Cleminator and the Tongan Tornado. Whoever comes out on top in that battle could very well decide the game. And they'll also get the behemoth bragging rights. I think Clemmer and Saifidi will lay the platform for Pearce and Ponga to work their magic. They were pretty good in defeat against the Eels last week, and Nathan Brown will reinforce his charges that 4 wins in a row will get them into the finals, or at least give them a really good chance. They seem to go on streaks. They won 7 in a row, I think, earlier this year. They've now lost 6 in a row. It won't be 7. The Knights will get the job done. Knights by 8. Now, English alert, Saturday, 5:30. We're at Amy Park for the Storm versus the Raiders. For the Raiders, all 4 Englishmen are playing. Hodgson, Bateman, Whitehead and Sutton, and they'll need all 4 on deck and at their best. Hodgson was back to his scheming best. He was really good against the Roosters last week. He was setting up tries, and his battle with Cameron Smith will be an absolute beauty. They're the best 2 dummy halves in our game, and both are so influential on their teams and the result of this game. Hodgson needs help though. Aidan Caesar and Jack Whiten need to provide some creative backup to Josh Hodgson, because Hodgson cannot do it all on his own. That's where the Melbourne Storm are lucky, in that Cameron Smith does a lot of the creativity, but he's got Cameron Munster outside him, who is an absolute genius and a gun. Munster was brilliant last week against the Bunnies, and Munster can either do it himself with a show and go and a palm. He's got one of the best palms in the game, or he'll produce the gem of a ball. He'll do a peach of a pass. He'll do a 20-metre cutout pass or a little short ball to Kafusi. I think the Storm at home are going to be very hard to beat. Where the Raiders do have an advantage is in the back row with the Englishmen. Bateman and Whitehead with Joe Tarpany at 13. I think they've got an edge on the Storm, and Bateman, I think, is a big key to this game. If he can get some of his offloads going and break a few tackles, as he's been doing week in, week out, the Raiders have an outside chance to upset the Storm. The Raiders are a top 4 team. Some people are saying, because they can't beat the Bunnies, they can't beat the Roosters, they can't beat the Storm, that they're not a top 4 team. They are. They're that close to beating one of these teams, and it could be this week. But I just think the home ground advantage will get the Storm over the top of the Raiders. Storm by 6. Saturday night, there's more Englishmen involved. We've got the Burgess boys, Sam and Tom, the Bunnies, coached by Great Britain and English coach Wayne Bennett, taking on the Bulldogs. Now, the Doggies are growing in confidence and getting their bite back. They've won 3 from their last 5. Their forwards, with Josh Jackson leading the way, what an inspiration he is in the back row. They're giving their halves, Jack Cogger and Lachlan Lewis, plenty to play off. And with Will Hopewadi and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak out in the backs, they're really producing a really good end to the season, the Bulldogs. But I saw some good signs in the Bunnies' defeat to the Storm last week at Gosford. And with Sam Burgess coming back, playing at prop. So Thomas is coming off the bench. Sam is playing at prop. There's a big enough bounce in the Bunnies provided by that confidence. Even though they lost, Cody Walker was really good. Adam Reynolds was good. And I actually think the Storm have provided the Bunnies with the confidence to get on a roll. And it starts this week. The Bunnies will beat the Bulldogs and start pushing the Roosters for a top 2 spot. Rabbitohs by 10. Now, Sunday, it's the razzle-dazzle Roosters, who are currently running second, taking on the Warriors, who are 11th on 19 points. It's now or never for the Warriors. They can't afford to slip up from here. They have to win all 4 to make the finals. Look, I was writing their eulogy last week, and I think Latrell Mitchell and Joey Manu in the centres will bring a shovel each and dig a hole and bury the Warriors. The Warriors' biggest chance of an upset is through Chanel Harris-Tavita. The rookie number 6 is playing brilliant football. He's actually was one of the main reasons that they upset the Manly Sea Eagles last week. Harris-Tavita was sensational. But the big contest this week is RTS versus James Tedesco. Arguably, not only the 2 best fullbacks in the game, but 2 of the best players in the game. Both are talisman and so influential for their clubs. But Teddy is playing Golden Boot winning rugby league. He's the best player in the NRL at the moment. And he produced the 2 slices of magic last week that got the Roosters home against the Raiders. And I think with the Roosters building to a top 2 finish, I think they're just going too well. Teddy to lead the way, and Mitchell and Manu to finish it off out wide. Roosters by 16. And we finish at PointsBet Stadium. Another English alert. It's the Sharks playing the Dragons in the Southern Sydney Derby. And we've got Gareth Widdop and James Graham turning out for the Big Red V. The Dragons would love nothing better than to burn the form guide and also really sink the Sharks' finals ambitions. James Graham, you know, is going to come out breathing fire, but there's no Andrew Fafita to face him, and that could really hurt the Sharks. Gareth Widdop is up against Sean Johnson. Now, Widdop is all class. He set up 3 tries last week. He was in brilliant form, although they're playing not the Titans this week, they're playing the Sharks. But he's up against Sean Johnson. Now, Johnson is either rocks or diamonds. Dragons fans will hope it'll be rocks, but I think Johnson has enough gems behind a pack featuring Wade Graham to get the Sharks home. The Sharks need to win, and desire will win the day. The Sharks to win by 4. So that's my tips for this week. And my winners are the Sea Eagles, the Eels, the Broncos, the Knights, the Storm, the Rabbitohs, the Roosters and the Sharks. They're my tips for round 22.